Good evening, everyone. This is Nicole Ali. I hope everyone is doing well. I did a video recently about the ketogenic diet versus the Dr. Sebi alkaline diet. And I have been considering changing up my consumption, what I'm consuming. And so I'm just considering the ketogenic versus alkaline. Now, when it comes to water consumption, I make sure that the water is alkaline between 8 and 9.5 pH, which we know is alkaline, 7 being neutral, anything below 7 being acidic, anything above 7 is closer to alkalinity. And most diseases, communicable diseases, or infectious diseases and metabolic disorders have been linked to alkalinity, meaning that these conditions cannot flourish in an alkaline environment. So I have just been considering doing this diet also due to the fact that I know people who are on the ketogenic diet right now, and they've had great success. There is such a thing as the ketogenic diet flu. Excuse the background noise. There's a little dog barking. Anyway, there is such a thing as the ketogenic diet flu that you get within the first week or so of the switch from the SAD or standard American diet to the ketogenic non-American diet or non-Western diet, as it is called. This documentary I just saw a few minutes ago, it's on Netflix. It's called The Magic Pill, as you can see on the screen. And it was pretty interesting. I will only have a couple of criticisms, which I'll give after I play the trailer. I'm using the trailer for educational purposes only, and I will put a link to the trailer in the description box as well. So we'll just watch this real quick, and I'll come back with my commentary.
Fat's no good. Fat's no good. Don't want fat in my diet.
We have lived a lie for 50 years.
You know, it's not an accident that people are hooked on all this processed garbage.
Having the federal government get behind the low-fat diet changed vastly the food system.
Suddenly now we're eating a carbohydrate-based diet.
You might as well be eating a bowl full of sugar.
The one question I wish every single doctor would ask is, what are you eating?
Maple and brown sugar, heart healthy. You know that can't be right?
What powers the brain far more efficiently is fat.
We need to get back into the kitchen.
So we're going to add more fat to the diet. I mean, good, natural fat.
Coronary artery disease.
I have asthma.
Type 2 diabetes.
She has epilepsy.
Autism.
High cholesterol. Cancer.
So when we get rid of refined sugars, refined grains, refined vegetable oils, processed foods, it's basically meat and vegetables.
We might be able to influence a variety of organ systems through one intervention.
This is a unique event in the history of modern medicine.
There are powerful vested interests.
This will seriously harm our profession.
Pharmaceutical companies are profiting from this. Weight loss industry is profiting from this. Undertakers are making out like bandits.
Cancer cells depend on glucose as a source of fuel.
I am really going to do this. I am going to do this.
I started this new way of eating today.
I have no idea how we're going to do it. The first 5 days, she starved herself.
The fifth day, he said his first word.
Tap your fingers.
I almost fell over on my chair. Literally jumping up and down.
And she's not seizing.
My tumor started shrinking. The possibility is that she could cure her diabetes with food.
No more inhaler.
Absolutely. Cheers.
It's time to look at the results and the outcomes and say maybe we've got it wrong.
I have faith in bigger, better things, man.
Okay, so that's the end of the trailer. I'm gonna play the video again. Just keep playing it over and over while I speak over it. So there were quite a few patients that were being, or I shouldn't say patients, subjects in this documentary who were being tracked for about 8 weeks. Well, maybe 8 to 12 weeks, I believe. First, I'll give the criticism by giving my rating of the documentary, just to get that out of the way. From a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, I would give this documentary a 9. Because I would have given it a 10, but I didn't give it a 10 because of the portrayal of non-white participants in the documentary. There is a young lady who they just showed quickly, a young man, and a village of indigenous people in Australia who are all clearly melanated. And there was a difference in how they live their lives. For instance, the young lady who is African American, as you saw, the natural hair, she does not have a family. When she's eating, she's alone for the most part. I'm not sure why they chose some of these participants, but with the white family, you know, there were 2 families that were shown there the entire time, and they were shown communicating with one another, laughing. All she had was her friends, her 2 white female friends who were there, Caucasoid female friends who were there with her on the journey. The young boy there is in Hawaii with his white mother. You don't know who his father is. They have a broken family. He is autistic, perhaps due to vaccinations or immunizations. That is not clear. Then you have the first group of people. The first group of people that they have there are the Aboriginal village of mostly women. And they are obviously melanated as well, but there are not many men in that village. They are being assisted by Caucasoid scientists and medical professionals who are there to help them get better from the diets that Europeans brought to them years ago, of course. And they do mention that. The colonizers that went around the planet, one lady in particular mentioned that it wasn't war that really destroyed indigenous populations around the world by Europeans. It was changing their diets to a grain-based diet. So those are the criticisms I have for the documentary. Now on to the positives. I did notice that, for instance, the young man here, he's autistic. He began to see improvement. They began doing testing on him in Hawaii with several professors, and I believe they had dietitians, cardiologists, neurologists, their pediatricians as well. They saw that he was improving in his speech, improving in his concentration, his mood, his digestive system, immune system was starting to balance out. There was another case of this family here, which I think is biased because the family that they just showed, let's see if I can go back. So this family here, the older woman to the right with the tie-dye shirt on, she is the mother of the man sitting to the left with the hat on and the green shirt. And they are actually related to the producer of the documentary. I can't remember exactly how it goes, but the producer of the documentary is basically a distant cousin of this man, this gentleman to the right, or to the left, excuse me. He has a daughter. He has 2 daughters. He's a wife, 2 daughters. One named Emma, who is non-autistic, and the other, Abigail, who is severely autistic at the beginning. They're eating nothing but sugar and chicken nuggets, goldfish, apple juice. Apple juice has more sugar than Coca-Cola. You know, one serving has more sugar than Coca-Cola. High fructose corn syrup is the form of sugar in there. So they were already eating unhealthily. Another thing to note with that family is that the father, this man sitting to the left, he previously was a drug addict. I don't know if that contributes to autism or any type of medical condition that his daughter has, but that is not a positive either. And that was something they kind of glossed over. He mentioned it in the documentary, but they kind of just never mentioned it again. I noticed that. But either at any rate, they showed the white families very happy, improving, losing weight. There was another participant who is a nurse. I believe her name is Debbie. And she had lost like 40 pounds or 45 pounds by the end of this this trial that they did with her. She was on all types of medication, and she was, I think her carotid artery, her left carotid artery was about 90% colluded, meaning that it was closed, indicating that she could have a stroke at any moment. After being on a ketogenic diet, she showed improvement in a very short period of time. And the thing about the ketogenic diet that they're not showing here, that they didn't show through any part of this documentary, which is quite misleading, maybe this is another criticism, is the ketogenic flu that I talked about earlier. They didn't show those responses to the switch, because there is a switch from a standard American diet, which is highly carbohydrate based, to a ketogenic diet, which is more fat based and lean protein based. They did not show that with the children or the adults, so that's something to note. Positively, I noticed that there was a case in South Africa which was concluded with this doctor here. It was concluded last year. This man, Dr. Noakes, I believe his name is, he was being sued by a health council in South Africa. He's already a colonizer, and he's being scrutinized by other colonizers in South Africa. But at least he is a colonizer who would prefer to speak truth to power as much as possible. He was on trial. They showed parts of the trial during the documentary. He was at risk of losing his license, his medical license, where he would not be able to practice in the country of South Africa. He was showing studies where people comparing patients on a ketogenic diet versus patients on a standard American diet or high carbohydrate diet. He showed studies with women who were diabetic, how the ketogenic diet reduced their diabetes and the standard American diet increased their glycemic index or increased their insulin resistance. He showed studies where they have tried to be deceptive in their reporting of the ketogenic diet. And he said that, you know, there's really nothing wrong with how this ketogenic diet works. This is how we have been living for perhaps millions of years, at least 2.5 million years before we began the process of agriculture, where you clear and burn the land, slash and burn the land, grow a product, and remove all the animals that are there, bring in pesticides and all that type of stuff. There was another participant who is I believe, an animal rights activist. She even is a proponent of the ketogenic diet. So I found that interesting because the ketogenic diet is mostly animal based. 80 to 85%, even 90% at some point. 80 to 90%, I should say, of fats and proteins, 10% of your 80% fat, maybe 10% protein, 10% carbohydrates. So even she was a proponent of it. I found that very surprising because she's a vegan. She had been on a SAD diet, standard American. She switched to vegan quickly, and then she was like, wow, you know, even now, even though she's not on the ketogenic diet, she is a proponent of it. So I noticed that she's not on the ketogenic diet herself, but she understands, why that would be beneficial to nature in general. The other person said, what was her name? I forget her name. But there is another participant who was there, and I'm going to wait until it goes through. Oh, yes, there was another participant who talked about the lie of the food pyramid that we're all familiar with. And she said basically to have a healthy relationship with nature and to have a healthy relationship with your food and to prevent or reduce these metabolic disorders, you need to flip the food pyramid over. You need to have small amounts of grain, fruits and vegetables in the middle, and large amounts of fat and protein at the bottom. And so they used animal fats. They said to try to stay away from vegetable oils, stick to more natural oils because it takes less energy to get the oil out of the plant itself. Anything that is a corn oil or canola oil, safflower oil, rapeseed oil, these are processed. They are heated up to very high temperatures, sometimes irradiated. And what comes out of that is a product that is basically plastic. Now, Dr. Lila Africa has talked about that as well. You can check out some of his videos on that. I'll try to remember to leave a link in the description box for him. Lastly, there was a patient who was a cancer, or still is a cancer patient. She doesn't show signs of her cancer at this point. I'm trying to go to where it is. Let's see. Here she is. So this lady here, she is Jewish, I believe. So she's on a kosher ketogenic diet. So all of her food is produced in the kosher manner. And she had, I believe, triple negative breast cancer because she talked about she had HER2 new positive cells, ductal. It was metastatic, pre-metastatic, in situ ductal carcinoma of the breast. And they showed over time, they showed her MRI scans over a couple of years, the tumor shrank and they were undetectable after she had been on the ketogenic diet. Because what we know now, which they've known for decades now, is that cancer requires glucose in order to survive. Most viruses, most infections require glucose in order to survive. So that's my review of this documentary. I really did enjoy it. I'll go back and watch it because there are a lot of things that are said in the documentary that lead to the attitudes and perspectives of the colonizers or Caucasoids that made this documentary. And I like to watch things more than once. I just wanted to watch it fresh and give you my review of this movie. Maybe you'll check it out. Maybe the ketogenic diet is something you want to consider. I would say confer with your physician, or if you're already on a alternative diet, make sure that this is something that won't hurt you. If you have medical conditions, you want to make sure this is safe for you to do. And one thing to remember, they just showed it there, food is medicine. That's one thing we have forgotten in this industrial state that we're in, where we have a lot of food that is highly processed. If it doesn't come out the ground, or if it doesn't walk on the ground, it's probably processed to a point where it's not even food anymore. It's a chemical. They don't even call it food anymore at these industrial companies. They call it food product, food-like substance. So I'm trying to think what else there was I wanted to say. I think that's it for now. I might come back with another video. You all let me know what you think in the comment section. And maybe I'll do a live stream about this. I attempted to do a live stream, I guess a month or so ago with my friend Maya Tikasi. And as we know, we had a lot of issues with that. I'm trying to get better on that, perhaps just improve my security. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section. If you're new to my channel, thank you for stopping by. Like, comment, subscribe, share the video, and I'll talk to you in the next one.